Sam, good to see you. How about last weekend then? How much fun was that to be involved in?
It was probably more fun for the lads that touched the ball a lot more than me. I think as first games go, it was probably the most ideal situation you could have, especially from a defensive point of view. But I think one of the biggest things we should take from it is not looking away of how we continued to perform even when they went down to 10 men. Anyone that went to the Solihull game the week before, I know it was only a friendly, but we went down to 10 men quite early, and we probably took a lot from that game, a lot more than what Solihull did, and we kind of showed even with 10 men you can still impart your stamp on the game. So when they went down to 10 men, it would have been very easy for us to just come off the gas a little bit, but I thought what was really good was the kind of the professionalism that we showed and how we continued to play the way we did, and really make a mark after that red card. But yeah, like we said, a few goals for the strikers, clean sheets for the defenders, but we come away from it knowing that there are going to be a lot sterner, more difficult tests, and we're not looking beyond that.
Yeah, and I mean, you slightly played down your role in it there, saying others touched you more, but you make a very important touch early on in the game to keep it, at 0-0 at that point, and the game could be different after that. That's a great save and a key save at that time. Yeah,
Yeah, they kind of happen. Like I say, ideal situation because they're probably the best things you want as a keeper, to make an important save at an important time and then not really have to do a massive amount else during it. Yeah, it was a good save. It kind of come on the counter, and we spoke through the week before that game that that's probably how the chances were going to occur. So it was a similar sort of scenario that we'd worked on throughout the week leading up to it. So nice that paid off. They had a couple of long distance efforts as well, which if we can kind of keep teams to them sort of shots most of the season, it's always a good thing. But we're not looking too far ahead from the game. I think what the lads did in it, in terms of defending from the front as well, made it much easier.
interesting early test for you now against two teams who you'd expect to kind of be top end come the end of the season. Torquay, of course, who you lost to in the playoffs last year, and then Wrexham on Monday. Is this a sort of early marker for you to see kind of the sort of the other teams who are probably going to be challenging with you at the top of the end?
Yeah, it's obviously two big games. I think with a season, you kind of need 4 or 5 games throughout the season to kind of see where people are, how they're progressing. But look, we're no doubt that the next 2 games are going to be very difficult. They both had indifferent starts to the season, their first games, but you don't know what you get in first games of the season. So we're going in there with, like you say, the understanding that they are going to be very difficult games, and they're probably going to be teams that are going to be up and around us come the end of the season. So we're kind of not looking at Wrexham right now. We're Torquay first, although they are very quick succession. The home game is the most important for us right now, and we're focusing on that, and we have done all week with the work that we've been doing, and hopefully we can carry on some of the form from last week, take it in and build some early momentum and really kind of keep the good feeling going.
How well equipped do you think Nosso, having seen the squad that Ian Birchnell's and the team have assembled pretty early on in the summer, and then obviously, seeing them win the opening game 5-0, how well equipped do you think this squad is compared, say, to last season to mount another challenge this year?
Yeah, I think the recruitment up to now looks as though it's been good. Being completely honest, I think it's hard to judge after a month or 2 months, but what we have seen on the training ground and in games has been really impressive, and definitely makes you feel that we are going to be at that business end once again. Conference is difficult because most of the time, in fact, the League 2 is probably similar, where budgets are going to be lower this year, so you are going to carry a smaller squad. So not getting as many injuries and kind of things like that are really going to affect throughout the season. I think one thing we should mention is the strength and conditioning and the medical side of it this pre-season have been really good, and they're on it and they're trying their best for injury prevention so that we have that squad that we have available as much as possible throughout the whole season. I mean, there's going to be injuries that you can't control, but for muscle injuries and things like that, they've been really on top of it, and hopefully that continues. And if we can stay fit as a group for the majority of the season, there's no reason why we won't be where we are. And the recruitment as well as that work has been vital on that. So it's good to see us bring in another attacking threat in Cairo. Kyle Wotton obviously played near enough every game. Well, I think he played every game of the season in the league and missed maybe a couple of FA trophies where they rested him. But it's tough on your body, and we know how demanding the National League is, that it's important to have them different options and maybe give him that opportunity to come off and have 30 minutes when games are done and things like that. So I do think the recruitment's been good, and the fact that we did it early maybe says that they've got the targets they were really looking at as well.
It's interesting you talk about all those things behind the scenes that supporters often don't get to see. Are those sort of things a key factor in when you make the decision to stay at Notts in the summer rather than maybe go back up into the Football League? Are all of those things kind of a part of your consideration as well as the reason why you want to stay here?
Oh, 100%. I think the club is run fantastic here. There'll be many clubs within the league that aren't run as well. That's from the medical staff, from the management, down to the office staff as well. They're brilliant. Jace does a lot for a lot of the lads to make their life as comfortable as possible. The media team, you guys get a close relationship with them, but they're brilliant. They're on things every day. I mean, pre-season they've been on like the goal gifts and stuff like that, which makes a better kind of feeling for everyone, not just the players but the fans as well. And the way the club's run and set up from the owners down, I think is very positive, and it's definitely one of them feel-good factors of why you want to stay. I'm getting to an age in my career now where you kind of appreciate the professionalism a lot more than what you did as a younger lad. When you're younger, you kind of just ride in the wave of being in that environment and being in the game that way. But the older you get, to see that professionalism all the time and the standards they drive, no matter what league they're in, is one big reason of why you want to stay there. And then the other side is just the trust they've put in me up to now. I felt like I should have to repay it and wanted to repay it to give them the opportunity of getting us back in the Football League.
It's interesting when Ian Birchall came in and nobody kind of knew who he was at the time, and nobody perhaps would have foreseen the amount of change over the last few months. Has it surprised you the way that in a few months when you've gone from a known name in something like Neil Ardley to now Ian Birchall taking over? You'd be surprised at how quickly things have changed and Notts have kind of developed this identity and playing the sort of football you are so quickly?
Not really, because I think the previous regime definitely put a good foundation there. But what I do think the gaffer now has come in, he's really stamped that identity and kind of brought a belief with it that this is how we're playing and it's going to work, and we stick to it. We do have other options, so we do work on plan B, plan C, but it doesn't go far away from our philosophy and how the gaffer wants to play. I think the owners have shown in their recruitment and what they do that they obviously fully believed that Ian was capable of doing that, and they would have done their due diligence on him to know that that was the case. So I think it's a whole host of things, but it's definitely bearing fruition now, showing his kind of philosophy and how he wants to play. And the recruitment, I think, obviously shows that that's the way they want to go. So they have a real kind of focus, and they have an understanding of what they want from certain players playing each position, and hopefully through the recruitment that's come through.
One of the interesting things in the recruitment is the amount of players who've been at academies of very big clubs, top Premier League clubs as well, and I think all the players sort of 26 and under. I think that's interesting. Is that something you tell, for a non-league team, often teams in that division might want to go for your sort of experienced, big, tough, strong centre-half, that kind of thing, but not seem to be recruiting footballers of a calibre, that have been at top clubs. Is that something you've noticed? Is something you sort of take notice
I think the honest answer is very short. If you have a calibre of defender that's capable of playing the football and is a big brute defender, they're probably not going to come to the National League. They're going to be playing at a high level. So I think that's the easiest way to answer it. I think the way that the gaffers and the staff and whatever's done their recruitment, that they obviously see the ability in the players. They're almost like unpolished diamonds. So that's how at this level you have to do. I think the recruitment we've done, in my opinion, we've probably overachieved in terms of recruitment, and we've got good players for this league, and that doesn't happen at every club because the good players want to play a high level. So hopefully we can work with the players that we've brought in, and it's not just the under 26s, it's some of the more experienced lads that are already here as well. You look at Jim and Connell and stuff, they're still learning a different form of the game every day now, and I think their attitude is one of the reasons why they're still here, because they are open to learning and taking the new ways, and that's what the coaching staff are doing. They're trying to develop every single player here, whether they're under 26 or over 26.
That's brilliant, Sam. Thank you very much. I'll
No
stop there, so I'll give Owen a chance before you get off to your meeting. Thank you.
That's good of you. Thanks very much. Hi, Sam.
Hi.
Just going back to the win at the weekend, that scoreline, what does that do for the mentality of the players?
Definitely shows us that we have a certain level that we can hit most of the time. I think if we look over the last probably 2 seasons, we wouldn't be out of turn in saying that we maybe didn't score enough goals throughout the season, and if we did, we'd be in a very different position right now. So to show that ruthlessness in those situations can only be a good trait, and hopefully we continue that.
Do you use it as motivation in terms of the next game, or is there a risk that looking back too much on previous results can lead to a bit of complacency?
I think you're definitely worthwhile using it as motivation, but we're not looking any further away than the next game. We're not going into the next game thinking, oh, what happened Saturday was so good, we can just roll out and do that. That's not the case, and that's been very much conversed within the squad this week, that yes, we were good. There are things that we can work on from that game, but the next game is a complete different challenge, and we can't rely on what we did last week to get us a result on Saturday. We know that. We're not getting ahead of ourselves. It's a long, hard season, and as long as we can continue to try to improve and bring what we do as a team to every game, then that's what we're looking at every day. We're not looking. We do analyse what we've done, and we can use it as motivation, but that doesn't mean that it's a forthright given that that's what we'll do on Saturday.
We'll be back at Meadow Lane with supporters this weekend. I know it's a special match as well, in that it's dedicated to Jimmy Cyril, and there'll be lots of legendary, iconic players from his period at the club in the ground. How do you think it will be to be back with all of that fanfare around it? Yeah,
it's been great having the fans back. Even the pre-season friendlies, just the atmosphere. We had a few of the new lads when we played, I think it was the Derby game. They mentioned after the game straight away like how surprised they was with the atmosphere, but just how good the atmosphere was. I don't know whether it's a case of because we haven't played in front of fans for so long that it intensifies it, but that atmosphere was really good, and there's no doubt that they will bring a similar sort of atmosphere on Saturday, given it's probably even a bit more of a bigger game in terms of what happened last year, and we're expecting them to be another tough side this season. So the fans have been brilliant, and hopefully that atmosphere can really help us on Saturday.
Do you think of this game as a chance for revenge, or do you have to put that to one side?
Personally, no, not a chance of revenge, but if some of the players see it as revenge and that's what motivates them for the game, I've got no problem with that. But look, that game's gone. It's the same as the Barnet game. It's gone. We performed well. We're now looking at how we can win the game on Saturday and what we have to do that.
Final question, I suppose. What do you think this side can achieve this season? Where can you get to?
It's early days, but I think we are going to be at the business end again at the end of the season. If we can continue that ruthlessness in both boxes that we did show against Barnet, there's no reason why we can't be competing for the top spot and automatic promotion. But we both know that it is a very tough league and only one spot available for that, so it is difficult. But with the quality we have in the squad, if we can keep the mentality and the fitness right throughout the whole season, we're going to be at the business end again come the end of the season, no doubt. I've got no questions about that.